I was trying to explain to a friend today about the Mandela effect. And I had to take a list because every time I'm around her, I forget all of the effects. There's a lot of them. And some of them I'm not sure about. But there's a lot I am sure about. Like Mona Lisa and that grin that she has on her face now. She never had a grin. And I know from 1970 to 1998, basically, it was a whole other complete way. I know for a fact that it was Captain Crunch cereal, not capital N Crunch. When Kentucky Fried Chicken turned into KFC, it threw me off because it was like a fashion statement. So when I saw capital N Crunch, I didn't know that. I thought they were just trying to be like KFC, and I wasn't paying attention to my surroundings. But there were other things in my life where I knew I was parallel shifting. But when YouTube came out and people started talking about the Mandela effect, and then all the list came out, I knew for a fact. And there's different theories of it, but I really believe it's a parallel shift because it's a brand new reality. In this reality, nothing's changed. It's the way it's always been. And you know why? Because people remember it the way it is now. People have a clear, and they're not like we can't say, oh, they remember it differently. No, their memory is just as much intact as ours is. They remember it just as clear as we do. And I remember it was McDonald's, but it was McDonald's by 2000s. But it was McDonald's. And I remember Curious George had a tail. And I remember Back Into the Future. I remember because Into used to throw me off. The Karate Kid had a white headband with the red ball. Now when they talked to Ralph Macchio, he said it was a blue one, and he still has it. But in the movie, it's a black. He said it was a blue lotus flower, and he still has the headband. But in the movie, it's a black lotus flower. And then that was the Karate Kid. And then C-3PO never had a silver leg. It was Cocoa Puffs, not Coca Puffs. Sally Fields. My mom was a big Burt Reynolds fan, Smokey and the Bandit, and Sally Fields was always Sally Fields. Christopher Reeves. Kennedy, I did research on Kennedy about 4 or 5 years ago, and he was in a car with 4 people. I spent 2 days on that research. Okay, there was 4 people in the car. It was a real simple car, 4 people. And then you got the bananas. They say that those are what? They're strawberry bananas. Now that could have always been things like that, like species of animals and food. Some of that stuff could have already been like that. But I heard Coney Island never had a bridge, and now it has a bridge. Mr. Bill always did say, "Oh no, Mr. Bill." And then I Love Lucy. Lucy, you got some explaining to do. We all know that one. That was a famous one. That was even on some of the comedy shows, like in Living Color. And Kirk Douglas died. I remember that because I was a Michael Douglas fan. Huge Michael Douglas fan. So when his dad died, in 2010, 2011, 2009, Kirk Douglas died, and now he's alive. I remember that big time. Popeye had one anchor. I remember that. The human heart, if you look at Sanford and Son, he still puts his hand over the side of his chest. And he says, "Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you." The heart was on the left side. The lungs were longer. The rib cage is completely changed. The rib cage is a big one because I read the Bible when I was 15, the entire Bible. And then you have the Raisin Bran cereal with the shades. That wasn't always like that. That came out in '87. They started singing, "I heard it through the grapevine," and then remember the raisins came dancing out around the box. They were dancing, and the sun had like the shades on, and the raisins had the shades on. Because the sun was so bright, like the raisins were like making a statement, and then next the sun had the shades on to make like a kind of confirming the statement that the raisins were making. And they had that song on the very first commercial saying, "I heard it through the grapevine," and that went on from '87 to around 1998, where the Raisin Bran cereal had the shades on. That was like the new look. But now you look back and you can't find it anywhere because it doesn't exist in this reality. We are from a different physical plane. It was never Cheez-It. It was never Cheez-It. It was always Cheez-Its. There was an S. And these are like this. That's what tells you it's a different reality. Hitler had brown eyes. He always had brown eyes. And these aren't like memories like, where you have a memory of something and you go, well, it's kind of vague. No, these are like clear memories. When you're poor and you see the same stuff over and over and over. And let me give you an example. When you're eating a box of Captain Crunch cereal every day for like 3 years. You shouldn't have, you're a kid. You put the box in front of you and you turn it around, look at the map on the back, and you put it back in front. It said Captain Crunch. So a lot of these things, they're easy to remember because you hear about it and you see it over and over and over and over and over. So when things change and people go, oh, your memory is just playing games with you. Well, you know for a fact that it was always that way. So the way it is now, nothing's changed. We're in a brand new universe. We've parallel shifted. This is a parallel universe. I totally believe that. Because in this reality, it's always been this way. And things are different. I mean, I don't know if you like noticed your family or you noticed your surroundings. Everything you see, I went to the house I grew up in. I lived in for about 20 years off and on. And I know it's years later, but it's changed. Like the hill isn't as steep as it was. There was a hill. And things like that won't change because the hill is covered with the road. You know, the road hasn't been worked on in like 40 years. So the hill is a lot shorter. Things are just like slightly different. Measurements. You know what I'm saying? Like things appear to be the same. It's almost like, I don't know how to explain it. Like if you saw a video of someone like this and then the same exact scene, he's like that. You know what I mean? It's slightly different. But we're in a brand new universe. This is a parallel universe.